Well, today I wanted to talk about limiting beliefs where newer investors might have, or maybe even experienced investors. Maybe they got their first or second deal done, but now they're running into some new challenges, right? And so, one of the most common ones that I hear when it comes to just getting started investing in real estate, right, is talking about timing. Well, you might have heard, well, CJ, I heard that interest rates are going to come down soon. I'm going to wait for the crash and then I'll buy and then I'll start investing in real estate. Can you talk us through like where is that coming from? Where is that belief coming from? Is it true? And how do we overcome that limiting belief?
It's always a tricky one because it depends on everybody's situation. If I try to generalize it, it's the it's the fear of taking the action steps needed to create that result. There's always going to be that opportunity to focus on a reason not to do something, right? And the Ford quote comes to mind: whether you think you can, you think you can't, you're right either way. And new investors don't have the skill set yet or the strong mindset and belief system to go and proceed forward, even though they may not know what the future holds. And I'd rather encourage somebody to create a result and then challenge it to what they thought they knew prior so that we can make adjustments rather than sitting there for that perception of that perfect deal. Because that's really choosing indecision. And indecision is a choice. Indecision is a decision. And that's always going to keep them on the beginner level. It's not going to move them towards their desired goals and results that they want simply because of a potential of either it going up or down. And it goes both ways. When the rates were low, it's like, oh, I can't buy now because houses were selling before they go on market. And then when rates went high, it's like, well, I can't afford to buy now. You get what you focus on. So if you're looking at the reasons why you can't do a deal, you're going to find and make yourself right around that. And challenging the new investor to think outside of that, where a more experienced investor will look at something like the interest rates high or low. Where do I find the opportunity? How do I create the opportunity? So forward moving towards the desired result.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you said a couple of things that I wanted to also go back and touch on. The first thing was when the interest rates were low, you're right. I heard the exact same thing. Well, competition is so fierce. You know, I put my offer in and it's already gone to some other person, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to wait till things kind of cool down, kind of relax. I don't want to overpay for something because everything's going for over asking price. We remember that, right? And then on the flip side, now that things have cooled down, but the interest rates have gone up, now they've flipped, right? Well, now everything's too expensive. It doesn't make sense, blah, blah, blah. And I want to wait for the interest rates to come down. So then it's like, okay, dude, what is it then? If you're going to continue to complain about these external things, you have no control over what happens to the interest rate. So if you're just going to sit around and just blame everything else except for yourself, well, then that's on you, right? And then you hit it on the head perfectly. You said, how can we still get it done despite these circumstances, right? The most successful people that I know don't allow these external factors affect them. They just go ahead and say, okay, well, this is what it is. These are the cards that are being dealt to me right now. How can I use this to the best of my advantage to move forward? Another thing that you mentioned was around getting a different result, just moving forward and getting something different, right? When we think into the human psychology, where does that idea come from where, well, I'm going to wait for this thing to crash and then I'm going to go in? A lot of that fear actually came from that 2008 when everything just went to crap, you know, and even my family was affected by that. We lost our house during that time. I would be a perfect example of someone who is very fear driven, very, cautious about, well, I already got hurt by it once. What if I go into it at the wrong time and it happens to me again and I lose everything again? And so the question that I have for those people is like, well, is it possible for it to happen again? Sure. But what has changed from that time? Back then, when we look at the regulations and all that good stuff, it was a free for all. Let's be real, right? It was anyone could get a loan. strippers were getting loans according to the Big Short, if you believe every little story that's being told in there. But strippers were getting like their fifth house, right? And it was just the Wild West back then. But with the new regulations in place, it is a lot more strict, and there are a lot of more rules in place for you to qualify for a mortgage today than it was before 2008. And so to have that level of fear of like, okay, this could happen to me again, is like, well, there's a lot that has changed. First, not only has time gone by, regulations have gotten more strict, and the individual has learned from the mistakes of the past, whether it be your mistake or somebody else's mistake, right? And so a lot of that mindset, I remember you just saying, get a different result. But a lot of the people that I see are still hung up on the past, and they're afraid of taking that next step to even try to get that different result because of what happened in the past. And I just want to bring to light, like, hey, look, a lot has changed since then. And could you expect the same result today? I would argue, no. You probably produce a different result if you started it today. And so, but yeah, great, awesome points, and some counterpoints from me as well, and in total agreement of that. So moving on, right, to the next most common limiting belief that I hear is, well, I need a lot of money. I need money in order to make money, for example, right? I need savings in order to go ahead and invest into real estate. What are your thoughts around that limiting belief?
I mean, everybody would love to have the money to start investing, and it's not always the case. You can't let your circumstance dictate where your goals and dreams are going to lie, or else you're going to be stuck in what you already have. So funding is always going to be an opportunity for everybody that gets into real estate. Whether you have money to start or you have no money to start, at some point you're going to run out of your own capital. We talk about this a lot in our community. And this is where it's never the lack of resources, it's the lack of resourcefulness. So a new investor doesn't understand what resources are out there for them to get moving and acquire properties with little to none of their own money. They also lack the confidence, conviction, and skill set. And those three things are only developed through, like we were just talking about, create the result, learn from it, adjust, pivot, move, keep going. You're honing in skills that aren't taught, right? A lot of real estate investing is failing forward. Like you gotta experience setbacks and shortfalls, but you get to get back up again. And the getting back up is the muscle. It's the skill set that's going to get you stronger in things that you may not believe to be true today. Which, if you think about it, the traditional lending system is a form of leveraging somebody else's money. You don't have a percent of the purchase price of a property, but you may have 20%. You still technically can't afford to buy it outright, but you're using leverage and a skill set around funding that is more widely known traditionally. Now, how do you take that same concept and now interject or infuse like creative financing, OPM, other people's money, PML, private money lenders, right? Hard money, DSCR, debt service coverage ratio loans, commercial loan products, lines of credit, business credit. Like there's so many things you can access, but when you're new, it's not even something on your radar because we're not taught these things.
And so when it comes to all these different kinds of loan products, I'm sure everyone has heard of at least one of the things that you mentioned, right? Whether it be the traditional financing or the DSCR or hard money lenders or even private money or even creative financing, right? In general, like seller financing and all that good stuff. What is it that gets a lot of these investors hung up? Like what stops them from, okay, yeah, maybe they know about the traditional and then they automatically just cross themselves out. I can't do that, right? But I know there's other investors out there that are aware that other opportunities, other funding methods exist, but they don't pursue it for some reason. What's going on in the minds of that investor?
If I were to look back on my journey when we were self-funding our initial growth, like it was not even on my radar to look at alternative solutions because I thought, oh, I'm never going to run out of money, which is a dumb thing to think if you think about it. Everybody's going to run out of money, especially if you're buying properties with the traditional method, putting the 20-25% down. Like that money is working. It's tied up in the asset. You can't take that out unless you sell, refinance, You know what I mean? Like you're limited on your options to get that capital back out to continue scaling. So for me, it wasn't even on my radar until it became a problem. And that's where I believe everybody gets put in that fork position where you can choose to go left or right. Right is let's go and find new and different and creative, uncomfortable ways to continue growing. Left is let me just stop growing because I don't have any money. Let me go back to working my job and over time and start saving up for the next 5-10 years to buy that next property. You know what I mean? Like we're presented with the same opportunity at some point. Some it's earlier, others it's farther down the road in their portfolio creation. But when presented with I have no money at some point, you're going to have that choice in that fork. And oftentimes what keeps them from wanting to go is they don't want to get uncomfortable. They don't want to reach out and ask for help. Maybe there's some pride involved with that. It was for me. I should know this. I should be able to figure this out. I don't need anybody's help. Even there are others that's already mastered the skill of raising private money or using creative financing or had networks in place that had other loan products available for me to access in a time of need. The want to go alone, the alpha wolf type, the lone wolf mentality, I think is the dangerous part for a new investor. Being able to understand that you've reached your limit and now you need guidance and support and seeking some level of coaching or mentorship can change everything about your trajectory because somebody's already gone ahead and proven it works. Now, how do you simply mirror that? Oftentimes I'm told it's so great that we have this community because we don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's exactly the point. Somebody else has faced the run out of money right before you did. And they figured out, okay, this could work, or this could work, or this could work. And all of a sudden, no options leads to multiple options simply by who you're surrounded with and seeking guidance from. Another thing I often see newer investors get stuck with or hung up on is they're on YouTube University. They're on social media university. They're taking all these tidbits out of context from all these gurus or real estate professionals, but it's so general that they don't understand the context behind it. And they're misinterpreting and misreading it and then applying it in a fashion which is not going to create a positive result because that's not what it was intended for. Having that intimate guidance from somebody who has done it is far better than the YouTube University and social media scrolling because they're going to walk you through your situation. Your situation can't be relatable to everybody out there. Everybody's coming from a different situation. So when you have that relationship with somebody who's more experienced that's willing to take you under their wings, they can cater what they know works to your situation. That's why I believe we got a lot of success with people who have little to no capital in our community. It's not because we give them a blanket, hey, go do this. It's, hey, Jen, what's your situation? Let me understand it so I can craft a custom roadmap for you to get from where you're at to where you say you want to be. And along that way, let's start with the first property.
Yeah, that is such a good point, right? The whole watching YouTube and hoping that it applies to you, right? When you think about content creators, they do have to create content in a way that it's relatable to the greatest amount of people, or else it's just not going to get the traction that they're looking for. Because in the end, what are they looking for? Eyeballs, subscribe, comment down below, right? And so they have to just appeal to the widest audience possible. And what ends up happening is a lot of people taking in generalized information that isn't going to really help them, but it'll point them in their shoulders in the right direction. But that's about it, right? It's like the difference between hiring a personal trainer. If I wanted to gain muscle mass, for example, can I watch YouTube? Sure, right? I know what the things to eat, blah, blah, blah. Know which specific lifts to do to get them, to develop muscle faster and things of that nature, versus me going to a coach or a personal trainer specifically, redoing the specific assessments on my body, and getting a true understanding of what's going on, what's stopping me from hitting my goals and things of that nature, and then coming up with a customized plan for me. 10 out of 10, that's going to be the personal trainer that's going to get me that better result. Why? Because like you mentioned, it's like the understanding of the individual, of that individual's specific situation. That way that coach can give you that better guidance, that more efficient guidance in essence, right? Because you're shortcutting a lot of that time, a lot of that effort that we already know, that coach that's been there, done that, already knows that, hey, these little specific tactics might not be the best for you, but these are going to work great for you in your specific situation. And so that was an awesome piece that you shared. And another thing too about YouTube University, as you called it, is that there's so much information out there. It's so easy to get distracted, right? Because everyone has the best way to raise private money or the best creative financing strategies, right? And everyone's like, well, this guy's strategy sounds better than this guy's strategy, and I don't know what to do with my two hands. And they just kind of get stuck with the overload of information. That's another thing that I see. This kind of goes back to the first topic too, like what stops people from getting started. There's just so much noise out there. And a lot of the things that you helped me with, right, was getting clarity and focus around what's next. Yeah, I have this big audacious goal that I want to achieve. I looked at flipping, I looked at wholesaling, I want to do rentals, and I want to do all this. Then you're like, Jin, stop, focus. We're going to do this. Nothing else. Okay, got it. and here we are today, right? And but that only comes with having that guidance from someone who's been there, done that, not from all the noise, all the things that you hear on YouTube University of do this because it's the best way to build wealth. Like everyone has the best way to build wealth, and now we're just kind of stuck. It's the unfortunate reality is like a lot of people get stuck in, I want to make sure I'm doing the right strategy, right? I want to make sure I'm doing it the right way because I don't want to do this thing and then later on find out that, oh, this wasn't the right way to do it. There's actually a better way to do it. When in reality, it's all good as long as you take action and move forward, in my opinion. But a lot of people just get stuck and they just don't know what to do with their hands. And so, yeah, a lot of great points that you brought up about capital, right? You don't even know that problem that you have until you're actually in it. Most people actually might be in it from the get-go. They don't have any savings. So right away, they have to leverage private money. And my next question to you is like the most common question or the most common objection that I hear from new investors when it comes to raising private money. Because right off the bat, like maybe they had enough capital for the first one, but then for the second one, we're like, all right, let's go raise some private money. Their first reaction is like, whoa, I don't know about using other people's money yet. Because what if I mess up? What if I lose their money? Blah, blah, blah. Like, what are your thoughts on that objection?
Very common with somebody who doesn't have that understanding that you treat that financing no different than you would treat a bank. You don't take out a loan to not pay it back. You take out a loan to buy yourself time to afford something you couldn't buy originally, and you commit to paying it back over time. And if you treat that with any other financing, OPM, seller financing, subject to DSCR, hard money, commercial, any of these other options out there, why is it any different? For some reason, it's the fact that I'm working with somebody I have a relationship with, private money. So like with you, if I have a relationship with you, all of a sudden it becomes different. It's not different. It's different in the way we can structure things because we're no longer bound to what the banks control or how they want to structure it. There's a conversation based off of trust, the liking, the knowledge factor, the experience, the deal. Like you can create so much more. And this is where endless possibilities lie, is in the relationship and network of being able to raise OPM, other people's money. That gets you access to others who may not want to do what we do, but want a decent return for their capital. Why I think new investors don't want to pursue PML early on is the fear of not being able to pay them back, because they're making it separate from how they treated their traditional mortgage. It's not. And if you know how to structure it properly, if you know how to set it up where you're not just following the floating numbers out there that everybody's talking about you should be paying, that's not true. When you know your numbers around your deal and you know what makes sense for you and for the person that you're working with as the lender, the private money lender, everybody will win. Everybody will win. And when you have the guidance of somebody who's gone before, a mentor, a coach, they can oversee and give you pointers on things you may not even know you're doing or aware of the next cliff that's going to come if we keep going on this path. Let's avoid that pitfall by simply addressing it now rather than, oh, you fell off the cliff, now we got to call 911. You know what I mean? So when they're trying to do it on their own, it's absolutely easy for somebody to go off into, I can't do this. This is too scary. I don't know if I can pay them back, and all these negative notations. However, when you're with somebody who had success and has success and is continuing to leverage that same resource, they can show you the opposite side, the opposite perspective. This is what happens when you do it properly. This is what happens when you know your numbers and you structure properly. This is what happens when you're with the right network who fits exactly your need. Doing it alone will always put you at a disadvantage. Doing it with others, it's really easy for you to multiply and magnify your progress because you're going with a group, a collective, and you can learn from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Like in essence, if you were to bet if a new investor will be able to be successful in their first year of investing in real estate versus a new investor along with someone who has been there and done that, I'm pretty sure everyone would put all of their money on the new investor with the experienced investor, because that's just, why wouldn't you place that bet, right? You already know that, okay, well, this person is being guided by someone who's already been there and done that. And like you said, here's what happens when you do this. This might happen. Hey, watch out for this pitfall. Make sure you don't make this mistake. And now that person who has that coach has a much smoother road ahead of them because someone has already paved that for them, right? And so that addresses that fear of like, okay, well, I don't want to raise private money because I'm inexperienced, and what if I lose their money if I don't want to pay them back? Okay, well, now you have this person that can guide you around all the potential pitfalls to ensure that you're not going to lose their money, right? And then you brought another great perspective too, which was like, why do you take any other perspective of like, it's no different from borrowing money from the bank. You don't borrow money from the bank without the intention of paying it back, right? And so it can't be that, right? It can't be the fact that you're like, oh, we're not intending to pay the private money lender back. It's got to be some other deeply rooted fear or a limiting belief, right? And so having that person show you and guiding the way, that addresses not just raising private money, but also going with a traditional bank. And if you really think about it, going with a traditional bank is actually much more scarier than going with an individual, right? Because the bank, the moment you miss a payment, foreclosure notice, we're going to take everything you own, right? And so the banks are scarier, and you can't go back and try to negotiate terms and things like that. They're just like, no, sorry, you didn't pay, we're going to take the house away, you know? Whereas the individual is like, all right, I got a really working relationship with you and I understand what's going on. Let's renegotiate these terms so that we both walk away unscathed. They're much more willing to work with you as an individual versus an institutional bank because they're more of a business, whereas the personal private money lender is going to work with you to ensure that both parties walk away with a win-win situation. So another limiting belief that I hear around private money, right, is asking for money. Asking for money. CJ, what are your thoughts about that? Like, oh man, I gotta go ask people for money. Oh dear.
You're not asking, you're presenting opportunity. I don't know if it's just me or my approach, but it's relationship driven. Private money is all relationship driven, right? You gotta have some like trust factor with them. And you're the product. You're the product they're investing in. And if they don't know, like, and trust you, it don't matter what deal you have, because they're wanting to make sure that they first trust you, that you're willing to pay them back. And that's our golden rule in our community, is always pay back your lender at all costs. It's no different than any mortgage or credit card debt or any other form of using OPM, other people's money, in a traditional sense. You are committed to paying them back. So why wouldn't you with a friend, a family member, a coworker, right? A referral. When you operate from that sense, you're going to change the way you approach the conversation with confidence. conviction, knowing I'm going to pay you back, Jin, with this opportunity you're presenting to me. I want to make sure you have a positive experience. And it's not an ask because I don't need it, right? There's hundreds, if not thousands of people in my network that I could present an opportunity to, and not all of them are going to say yes to me. Majority of them are going to say no. And that's okay because it's not for them. And when I can respect people where they're at, the right people who see the right opportunity will engage in that transaction with me. And you're wanting to know what's in it for them, right? So when you're asking for money, it's about what's in it for me. When we work with private money in our community, we teach a lot about the relationship first, then the opportunity comes. Because I need to know, are you even interested in investing? What are you investing in? What are some returns you're seeing? How much capital are you playing with? Have you experienced a private money lend before or have you not? I like to share in the community, there's two audiences you're going to speak in front of with private money. It's investors and everybody else. Which one you're speaking to across of you determines on your approach and your delivery of the opportunity. Investors are a lot more deal driven, even though there's no trust factor. They want to vet the deal on top of that. They have the experience, they have the knowledge. So you can come in with real estate lingo. Let's say you're talking to grandma who's never heard real estate investing before, or even buy and hold or for cash or none of that. Maybe they bought a house and that's all they have experience in. When you start talking about my return on investment, my cap rate, my LTV, my ARV, all this real estate lingo will make grandma go cuckoo because she has no clue what you're talking about. Versus, hey, grandma, would you see value in working with me on this opportunity where I could make you an extra couple $100 a month that could pad your Social Security and your retirement? What if I showed you how we could do that? Would you be interested? That's a question, presenting an opportunity, giving them the chance to say yes or no. That's the difference. I'm giving them the opportunity to say, yes, I'm interested, no, I'm not. Versus I'm straight up asking, Jin, I'd like to borrow some money. It comes across like, well, CJ, I know what you want. You want my money. But what's in it for me is one of the first responses majority of people will give you. Because you're not interested in them. You're just interested in the money. You see them as an ATM. That's not how this works. Develop the relationship. Know when to respect them where they're at is a big part of it too. It's not pushing to the point of forcing the opportunity, but allowing it to come out naturally. Trusting that when you do this enough, and this is a volume game, the right people will be in front of you and you'll present the right opportunity for them to see this investment is good for both people.
Yeah. So to recap, right, what you were saying is to focus on that relationship first, understanding who they are, where they're at, and then matching that energy. So if they are already an investor or they have experience in this, it's okay to kind of go right into the weeds of things, talk about ARV, all that good stuff, all the acronyms, because they've been there, done that, and they kind of understand that, and you can respect that relationship, saying, hey, I have this new deal, and if you want a piece of it, let me know. Versus talking, like you said, talking to grandma or anyone else who's inexperienced with real estate, making sure you present them with that opportunity and seeing how it could benefit them. Hey, how would you like if I could do this for you? And then if they say, okay, yeah, I would like to know more about that, great. And then you present them with that opportunity, right? The big thing that I also notice when it comes to these investors is when it comes to asking for money or presenting that opportunity. I always say, just like you say, it's presenting opportunity, because if they knew how to do what we're doing, then they would go and do it for themselves. At least that's what I would believe, right? Because who wouldn't want to invest in real estate, grow their wealth, get cash flow, appreciation, tax benefits, debt pay down by tenants, right? But the reality is they don't know, and that's why they're not doing it. Whereas for people in our community, WN Properties, we've all made the investment of monetary the time, the effort to go and not just learn it, but to go and take action. So when it comes to us analyzing these deals, writing up offers, countering offers, managing general contractors, realtors, all that good stuff, this is what we learn in the community, how to properly manage all of that. Whereas others who don't have that kind of experience or that kind of knowledge, they're just kind of out there. They don't know what else is out there. Kind of like what we were talking about before is like about lending. It's like all we know is about the traditional banks kind of financing method. These other folks out there, they know real estate investing exists, but they don't know how to do that themselves. Whether that be they don't have the time, they don't care to know exactly how it works, or maybe if it's grandma, they don't want to know. They just like, I just want to secure my retirement in the future, and if that's the way you're going to do it, then that's great. And so when it comes out to going out there and talking to these folks, it's like we have to remember we're coming from the position of like experience of the expert. We know so much about what we have to offer to these people. It's almost like a disservice to not go out there and present the opportunity to make money together. When you say so. And so if you've made that time, put in that energy to go and learn the skills that you have learned here in the WNN Properties community, go out there and share it. Not in the sense that you got to go and teach them exactly how to do it, but hey, I learned this thing that's made me a lot of wealth, or it's going to make me a lot of wealth, and I want you to be part of it. And when I take that perspective, and whenever I teach, I don't teach anymore, but when I was teaching in the WNN Properties community, that's the angle that I try to instill into every single one of my students was, hey, you're not asking for money. You have all these skills, this knowledge, this expertise, and wouldn't it be nice to make money together? Because if you just keep it to yourself, well, you already know how that's going to go. You're just going to stop. You're not going to have room to grow. And so if you were to go out there, almost like taking a mindset of abundance, right? It's like, hey, there's so much opportunity out there, and I know you don't have the time or the expertise or even the willingness to know how this all works, but I want you to be a part of it. Taking that perspective, it's like, oh man, okay, let's do this. It's my duty now to go out there and talk to as many people as I can to say, hey, there's more to the world in terms of growing your wealth than working hard all your life. You should be investing, not just in stocks and bonds and whatever else, but also diversifying into hard assets like real estate. And so that's the perspective I take. It served me very well. It served my students very well. As you can see, some of the other people that I've taught, right? It's worked. It served them very well. So yeah. I saw you writing something down. Was it related?
Just another thing that new investors, this is why they struggle with private money, is they stop after a few conversations. I mean, it's the whole Thomas Edison mindset. 10,000 ways the light bulbs didn't work until it did. And when you're working the whole private money OPM route and going out into your network of influence, you're gonna get 99 no's before that 100th yes. Like, you gotta put in the commitment to, and have the resolve to see it through no matter what they say. And if you're creating the results per conversation by the 99 to the 100, you will have learned, adjusted, and pivoted 99 times to create that 100th yes. It's part of the process. It doesn't just happen overnight. It's very unlikely your first presenting of opportunity will land with a lender. It's gonna take follow-ups, recommitment to reconversating, representing the opportunity in a different fashion, reaching out to different people outside of your family and friends. It starts to get a little bit more uncomfortable because you gotta get the wisdom. What I was writing down, Jen, is my formula for wisdom is information plus knowledge multiplied by implementation equals wisdom. Information's good because it's out there and it's free. Knowledge is the understanding of information, but if you don't implement it, you'll never have wisdom. Wisdom's based on results created. And the wise investors learn from the things that didn't work and make adjustments. New investors said it doesn't work once and quit. That's why they're kept from their next level of growth. That's why they stop at 1, 2, 4, whatever. Because you're not willing to fail forward. You're not willing to try again. You're not willing to speak to a new person and present it in a different fashion. You're unwilling to get uncomfortable. Failure is never fun. However, if you start to redefine what failure is the stepping stones of success. It's a part of the process. I get to embrace. It's going to happen, and it's happening for me, not to me. The more you adopt that type of mindset, the faster your results will come, because you won't stop with a simple no. You'll keep going. And the way I look at no's are no for now, and it's one more no closer to my yes, 99 to the 100. Play with that type of mindset. You're on the verge of breaking through some big stuff.
Absolutely. And that applies beyond just private money, right? That applies to the number of offers you're putting out there. And it applies to the different vendors you might interview and talk to. You're gonna go through different realtors. You're gonna go through different contractors. You're gonna go through different property managers. A lot of these people, a lot of the new investors think that they're gonna find somebody and they're gonna stick with them forever. It's not really, the case. As you and I both know, we've gone through different team members. We've gone through submitting hundreds of offers and talking to hundreds of people to raise private money. And yes, let's be real, 99% of them were no's, right? Or 99% of them just didn't work out one way for one reason or another. And so going back to that idea of failure, is it really failure if you're still moving forward? Right? I don't think so. I would actually redefine it even further and say you didn't really fail. It's just you just didn't get the result that you were wanting to get from that person. So find it from the next one, right? And so to me, failure is when you straight up quit, when you just stop doing what you're supposed to do, or the actions or the goals that you're set for yourself. When you just give up on that, that's failure, right? And so yeah, I mean, it applies to every aspect of life, not just real estate investing too, right? It's just a continuous, you just got to keep moving forward. Just accept that not every situation is going to come out the way that you expect it, and that's okay. It's just a matter of what did we take away from it? Can we learn anything from it? Of course, 100% of the time you will learn something from it, and then you apply those learnings to the next one, just like you said, right? The education, knowing something, and application is the wisdom. And that's where that wisdom comes from. So yeah, that's awesome. One common theme that I noticed actually throughout our conversation so far was having a coach, having a mentor. And a lot of times you see online a lot of just very skeptical people, or whatever you might want to call them, people calling gurus scammers, and you don't need a coach, you can still do this on your own, you don't need to pay this guy whatever amount of money to learn how to do this and that. What are your thoughts on people who think that way about mentorship or getting a coach?
You're going to be stuck with information and knowledge for the rest of your journey. That's it. You're going to have the head knowledge. However, you've never implemented it or even tried to implement it, so you're not going to make progress. Like if YouTube and social media were enough, everybody would be doing what we do. There'd be no need for any mentors or coaches. And the harsh reality is that's not enough. Information and knowledge is not enough. Just because you know and understand the BRRRR method, or know and understand how to buy a property for cash flow, if you've never implemented it, how do you know it's actually true? So yeah, it's easy to think scammy. But at some point, you're going to need to take action on, and most won't take action on their own, which is why joining a group or a community that has coaching and mentorship in the two most important questions you're going to ask, in my opinion, is do they have what I want, and are they doing what I want to do? So if they have what I want and they're doing what I want to do, I'm in an alignment to that. I could take that shot with that investment. Oftentimes, people justify why they should work with a community or a mentor or coach simply because they like them. It's important. And quite frankly, I don't care in our space if you like me or not. Do I have what you want, and am I doing what you want to do? If the answer is yes, you're not going to like me sometimes, because I'm going to challenge you around limiting beliefs and mindsets, the things that we were just talking about today. So if you're only going to go off of somebody you like, you're going to probably make a bad investment. It's just like with real estate. I don't need to like the property. Does it perform as its intended use for my strategy? Oftentimes, I don't care for the look of my property I'm buying, or the color it is, or the location, or the finish level. However, I'll still invest in it knowing that this is the vehicle that's going to produce the result to what I said I want, i.e. cash flow. And if it produces it, I could care less if the house is pink. If somebody rents the pink house and it makes the numbers make sense, it's an investment for me. But if I bought everything based on what I like, I would have never achieved what level of success I have today.
And so going to investing into coaching and mentorship and things like that, I've had my own experience where I have spent significant amounts of money into coaching and mentorship and things like that. But I want to hear a little bit more about you and your journey. Like, have you invested into your own mentorship or coaching while you were in this journey of maybe not just real estate, but in life overall?
Mm-hmm. Yep. In the beginning, I was the lone wolf. I was wanting to figure it out. I had too much pride, too much ego, and I wasn't willing to see myself as, oh, I need to be somebody else's student. I thought it was beneath me. And that really hurt our progress and growth early on, because it became to a point where until I had the pain of inaction and in my inability to grow beyond what I capped at, then I start to humble myself and say, oh, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe this information and knowledge stuff is great, but I have no friggin' clue on how to apply it. I need help. And once I started investing in myself, Jazz can attest this, year over year, our income started doubling. Our portfolio multiplied in growth. Our vision and goal of retiring 5 years before retirement age turned into retiring in the next 4.5 years. Right? It shortcutted the whole process the moment I was willing to be coachable. And that was a shift I got to make. I got to choose. And oftentimes I see new investors stay stuck for years, if not at least been in this business for a decade. I've seen people still stuck for the last decade choosing to not be coachable, that they can figure it out on their own. And it's kept them from growth. When I invest in myself now, I ask myself those two same questions. Is the person I'm working with has what I want to have and is doing what I want to do? And if I'm in alignment to that, I invest. Because I know it's far less of what they bring to the table. They've already proven it to be at that level with that credibility. It's far more of me willing to show up and put in the work. It's like the gym analogy, right? If I want to be the fittest guy in the gym, I'm looking for the fittest guy to emulate. I'm not just joining the gym and kind of partaking in workouts when I feel like it. I'm committed at that level. If that guy's working out for 3 hours a day, Monday through Saturday, I'm there 3 hours a day, Monday through Saturday, because I'm looking to aspire to be like. You gotta be willing to do what they did to achieve what they have. It is not a magic pill. This isn't some, oh, I joined WN, so they're going to do it for me. No. This is your journey. You get to train. You get to develop a skill. You get to take what we have and use it properly to get to the results you want. And you replace that with any other mentorship or coaching out there. And when you show up like that, those are the people that go from nothing to something. But it's usually the few. Why are most New Year's resolutions around working out and healthier dead by the end of January? They're not committed to the actual change. Only a handful are willing to see it through year over year and be disciplined enough to do it when nobody's looking, when it's not sexy or cool, when nobody's in your corner saying, go, go, go. You have to have that commitment and discipline paired with a good coach to then create, or in my story, shorten my result by 15 years. And it's an investment. This isn't a cost. If you're going to view it as a cost, you're already setting yourself up for disappointment. Because I'm expending this money and I'm thinking of it as a loss. Versus, I challenge people I work with, I challenge myself when I'm investing in coaching and mentoring with somebody that's got what I want to have and is doing what I want to do. I'm expecting to grow. I'm expecting to level up, to expand my, not just information knowledge, but my ability to implement it so I can have the wisdom and pass it on to somebody else. So when you treat it like an investment, you show up a lot different than, oh, well, I just paid this. That's all I did. I just paid it. There's no real expectation on a return.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of folks who say, oh my God, don't do that, that's a scam, is a scammer, whatever, is they may have tried to quote unquote invest into themselves and didn't do the work because they, for whatever reason, thought that, hey, if I just sign up for this gym, I'm gonna get fit. Like you're using your own analogy, right? Oh my God, that gym's a scam. Unbelievable. I can't believe they sold me on a gym membership and I didn't get fit. That's the equivalent of what they're saying, right? And so when it comes down to making that investment into yourself, it's knowing and understanding that, yeah, this person has what I want to have. They're doing what I want to do. Not only does that mean I'm going to invest this amount of money to be in his space or her space, it also means that I'm going to have to take the actions that got that person, that coach, that mentor there in the first place. I have to match that. Anything less, I get the results, right? And so that's a great way to put it, because I can think about my own time, my past experience when it came to investing into mentorship and things like that. And for the longest time, I did blame the mentor because for whatever reason, oh, this person didn't give me the support I wanted, blah, 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 right? It was always their fault. It was never my fault. But like you just said, I paid for mentorship. I attended a few sessions, and then after that, I kind of waffled, did my own thing, and then I blame him, right? It doesn't make sense. And going back and thinking about it, that specific person has very, very successful students that he has taught. You and I know. And so it's like, okay, clearly it wasn't a scam. It was actually my fault, Jin's fault, for not taking the actions necessary to get the results that I wanted in the first place, right? And so going back and looking into the mentorships and program things that I've invested in today, same thing, right? Now I know it's like, oh, well, I need to do the things that CJ has laid out for me in order to get that result, right? And only after did I make that realization, it's that mirror in front of me. It's like, oh, it's my fault. I didn't get the results I wanted or I expected because I didn't do the things necessary to get that result. And once I hope other people realize too, is like, okay, just joining WNN isn't going to be the magic pill. It'll still shortcut you just because you surround yourself with a lot of amazing people. But if you don't take that action to go and analyze that next deal, put in that next offer, talk to that lender or another potential private money lender, you're going to stay stuck, right? We can't help you if you don't go and work out. So yeah, I think that was an amazing way to cap the end of our talk today, right? And so if you guys are looking to get started investing in real estate and you're looking for a mentor who is, one, doing it, and two, has the things that you want as well, then look no further than CJ Collier himself. He runs WNN Properties. And if there's any way that we can help, feel free to reach out. We have many ways that you can reach out. And of course, if you want to apply to our mentorship program, click the link somewhere around here and fill out the application, and we'll talk to you soon.